convening of the creative consultants. I'm Trudi, your chief communication consultant.
And I am Matthew, chief content consultant.
And today's episode is all about beep, boop, beep, beep, ones and zeros, AI.
AI.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And we should just say for audio-only listeners, if you hear a little bit of this, we're just kind of like, the serving line of the deli, just wrapping sandwiches. But for everybody else, you know what's up.
You know what's up. Season 3, we've really upped our costume budget.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All of the pennies that we're making from this podcast going straight into production design.
But we have to save them because the robots are coming. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today.
We're here to appease them.
As per custom, though, we're going to start with a quote. Now, this is a quote from Claude Shannon. I have absolutely no idea who Claude Shannon is, but I'm now fascinated to know. And they said, I visualize a time when we will be robots. No, hang on. Rewind. I visualize a time when we will be to robots what dogs are to humans, and I'm rooting for the machines. Dun, dun, dun.
Claude Shannon, you mischievous individual.
Right?
I mean, not to kind of share favoritism on AI models, but there is one called Claude, and I feel like that's probably written this and gone, oh, yeah, no, the machines are all right. Hey, guys, yeah.
Totally boosting himself up.
Yeah.
I wrote it.
Yeah.
I say it's a him, but
Yeah.
it probably is. So we're here today. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. We and ahed about doing an episode about AI, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. It does feel like every man and their dog and their, AI bot are trying to talk about AI. But we thought, well, what better than to add to the noise?
and adding to the noise we will be with all this crunchy costuming. But I want to know, what are your thoughts about AI? I mean, we're both creatives, right?
Yes.
We both work in a creative field. This is going to change the landscape of everything we do. And there's a lot of murmuring, lots of fear that's happening. Yeah,
it's an emerging technology where there's a lot of doom and gloom, and then there's a lot of optimism, and then there's a lot of grey area in between. So really, I'm enjoying my soundscape here. But I'm kind of on the fence, but leaning towards optimism, because I think that, we've in previous episodes, we've spoken about like the career progression or the industry progressions I've noticed over my career, right? And when I came into, video production, it was a whole emerging technology that I kind of was at the right place, right time to start a career. And I'm kind of looking at AI as that like potential next evolution, right? Like it's obviously able to advance and improve at such a rapid rate that I think it could fundamentally change the way content and things are created. It's just that if you choose to ignore it and the rest of the world moves with it, then you're left behind. Yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm not all eggs in the AI basket at this stage. What about you?
I have big swings, but I'm actually really optimistic about it. I'm optimistic from a creativity space. Mm-hmm. I feel like, and we've spoken about this before, I feel like this is going to be the creative renaissance, the creativity renaissance, where actually all of us who've worked in this field of creativity, which has sometimes been considered a little outlier, shall we say.
Yeah. Wonder why.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Not slightly weird at all.
I feel like we will rise to the top because they're the skills that are really going to be needed.
Yeah.
It's a bit like I noticed a real difference during the pandemic about the response and the reaction to my friends who are creative and my friends who aren't. And there was a vast difference in how they adapted and how they responded. So I think now AI is going to create a really fertile environment for people who can think outside the square.
Yeah. And I think it's, as long as it's viewed with it's not the solution, it's a tool.
Yes.
And I think, the way our process has always been is like you get a brief or a concept or a conversation about a job comes in, and you then ideate or think about what that could look like. And the brief might be super detailed, it might be quite loose, but you'll explore what that idea is, what the output is, how you can convey that. AI and the tools that are there can just expedite that process pretty significantly. You can put in, hey, here's all of the brief, tell me what the key things are. Then you can throw a bunch of ideas out and go, how do these match up with what the brief's there? And just sort of speed up that process of thinking and brainstorming to then get to the meat and potatoes of that thing that we're really good at, which is actually executing on that, making that a reality. And so I think like as a tool, it's wonderfully, wonderfully fast. But if it's relied on too much, then it becomes rote and iterative rather than new and interesting and unique. And I kind of look back on like, you know, a lot of the bigger projects we've made that are like, you know, using internal teams and sort of augmenting it with like an external idea, like a film parody or something genre. The thing that makes that work is the understanding and interpretation through the assumed knowledge between all parties, right?
Your soundscape is excellent. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's fine. So the idea that the understanding of the end idea is only made successful because everybody has you've kind of captured the lightning in the bottle of like, these people have this knowledge of this situation and you put it in this context, therefore you create a new idea. And without the human understanding of that nuance, AI is never going to get to that point, but it can definitely give you some suggestions to start thinking of how you connect the dots. And that's where I think it's a really interesting tool to kind of speed up that early stage process where you sit there and go, oh, how do we make this work? I don't know. And you'll sit there and you've got the kind of creative lull, whereas you can kind of feed AI or all these other things, just that genesis and start the gears turning a little, bit to then, you know, get the idea started and the conversation happening.
So, okay, on that note, creativity, some people are saying, okay, it punches out, AI at this point in time punches out pretty mediocre creativity.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, even as humans, we don't quite understand the roots and the mechanics of creativity and where it comes from as humans, and we do it, let alone machines. So people are saying because of the amount of content that AI is like pumping out and mediocre creativity, that actually our creativity levels are going to and our critical thinking levels are going to drop.
Yeah.
For those who are listening on audio, that's me.
I don't know. That's a pretty good sonic description of going down.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think I can't remember where I heard it, but there was a conversation used about, it was Conan O'Brien talking about when he won the Mark Twain Award or prize for comedy, right?
Yep.
And he was talking about like he was lauded as like one of the great talk show hosts and things. And he was like, well, he was inspired by the people that came before him. So like the Lettermans, the, you know, Carsons, all of that sort of stuff. But in turn, they were inspired by the people before them and before them, before them. And I think you kind of extrapolate that out to all creative output is that we are creating through our own experiences and inspirations and that idea of everything is a remix, right?
Yeah.
AI does that from a database or a pool of information and stuff that it's pulling from and creating something quote unquote new from that. But it's really just interpreting all of these other inspirations and generating something new. It's not that different from how we do stuff. Like our sense of humor, our way of thinking about a problem, all of that's influenced by the things we've been influenced by. It's just that now, well, we've got a program that has access to kind of potentially the entire human race of output. To say it's not original is kind of doing what our own process is. It does that a bit of a disservice.
So what? It could be like the funniest, most creative kid on the block.
I mean, potentially, right? But I think being ready to say it's bad, full stop, limits you from experiencing what it can actually help and support with. So if the exploration of the idea is the part that it speeds up, and then you get to the idea and then actually figuring out, well, what the execution of that idea is where you can spend more time rather than going, well, what are the ideas and really struggling with that. Like, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. And
particularly for like, you know, I often talk about how limitations are great for creativity because it gives you something to work with. That like, if you're staring at a blank page and go, well, this is the brief and we need to make a video, well, I don't know. Like, but if you throw the brief into ChatGPT and go like, what are some ways we can approach this? And it just gives you some starting points that then it's the seed of the idea and that gets you going faster than sitting there going, I don't know how to tackle this. Well, I think that's a really good thing. It's an enabling tool. And like, we are creatives. We deal in this stuff all the time, that our processes for developing ideas are pretty strong. And I think we can, not on demand, but we can pretty quickly jump into the creative development of something. But I think for people that are not in a creative field or aren't as creative all the time, this just speeds up that process of getting them going. It's like when you're trying to teach a kid how to ride a bike without training wheels, you kind of just got to like let them go and get them started. And then the momentum of the thing kind of goes, hey, I'm actually riding this, builds confidence, and away you go. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you can't just rely on it making the output because it is going to be derivative and potentially unoriginal, but also that's kind of where our ideas come from anyway. So if you can get the idea started and then bring your own interpretation to it and your own, perspective on it, that's where I think it really succeeds.
See, that's where I think creatives will flourish, because I feel like it's almost like a creativity whirly, what are those like desert stormy things, where when you have the capacity to take two ideas that don't normally mash them together within an AI, it will generate and generate and generate and generate. Like I feel like the more potential you have to sort of throw creative things into AI, the more potential it has to throw great things back, and then thus begins the process. I think it's sort of the same with play.
I was going to say,
if you have the capacity to play, I mean, you watch kids do it with computers anyway, right? They don't go, oh, what does that button do? They just smash it. If you have that ability to think outside the box, to play around with technology, then it will give you the tools and the unexpected outcomes that I think we will need to see.
Yeah. I think too, like the play aspect of it, and sort of you use a term of the what if, right? I think it does a really good job of giving you a safe space to explore and play without necessarily leaning on other people to then give that. Because, people are complex, and sometimes you go, hey, tell me what my 5 biggest, blind spots are in the way I run my business. People go, oh, I don't know, maybe you're too nice or whatever. Whereas if you go, hey, I've been using this AI model for years and I've shared with it everything, I talk, I get whatever. And you go, tell me my 5 biggest blind spots. And it goes, well, you are this, 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 and this. And it just got all that data, and it can kind of find patterns and things. Like all of a sudden you've got access to insight and interpretations that you might be limited in receiving because of human nature and what have you. So I think that the ability to play with these models as well is really interesting, and that there is a really safe space to explore and just see what happens. And I think that the fear, and you could speak to this much better than I could, but the fear of leaning into something that's a bit new or different, and the judgment that could come with that, holds a lot of people back from being playful and creative.
Yeah, it does. And I think you're right. I think it does offer a safe space to play. It can be quite sobering when and a robot gives you cold, hard facts. And also I think what's interesting is we all think we're so different and unique, whereas here's a machine that goes, actually, you're all just a bunch of patterns and habits, and I'm going to spit them out at you. And for my industry, I'm all about using play to connect humans, and I don't think that will ever change. In fact, I think that will become more crucial than ever.
Yeah.
And so from where I sit, I think it's an exciting space in the sense that we will really truly value and possibly have the space to really connect back to each other on a human-to-human level, because our AIs are doing all the other stuff.
Yeah. I'd love to give you an example of when I've mucked around with it and had a really interesting kind of experience through it, right?
Go.
So my eldest son is almost 5, and he loves Lego like most young kids do. We were building just whatever we could rustle up from the big box, and we made cars and spaceships and stuff. And in my mind, I was like, what a great opportunity to like just experiment. But he does sometimes get a little bit limited, and he looks at my one and goes, oh, that's not as cool as or my one's not as cool as what you've built and whatever. So I wanted to really like encourage his like play and exploration and I guess self-belief in that what he was doing was good, right? So I was like, how about we take some photos of these and send them to ChatGPT, and we get them to turn them into like really cool, big, awesome things. So we took a couple of photos, and there was one where it was a spaceship, and I said, ChatGPT, here's a picture my son drew, turn it into the most amazing spaceship and I was like, what else do you want to include? It's like sharks, lasers, pirate ships, and it just generated this amazing image using the bones of what he'd made as the kind of basis of this thing. And he was blown away. Then it was like, well, what if we turn that into a coloring page? So we did that, and it then takes all the color out. It was a coloring page. Then it was like, well, can we make more of these and make them on like a beach and then with a car and do whatever? And all of a sudden we had these like 5 or 6 different coloring pages from things he built in Lego that he was in like, can we print out a bunch of these and take them to Kinder so my friends can see them and color them in? And then that's the shared experience there. And I think like I don't have the skill set to be able to draw an amazing picture off the back of this stuff, but what it did, and that whole process was he was so excited by the opportunity and the potential that even though it's through AI and whatever qualms you might have about that, the light in which the creation or the act of creation brought up in him, I can't see that as a bad thing, no matter how you get there. And then he took these printed out sheets to Kinder, came home that day with a whole bunch of them colored in. He was so excited. And it was off the back of something he created had a bigger impact than just like, I made this thing. It's like, I made an experience for my friends and we shared that together. And I kind of think like in all of the doom and gloom chat about AI, kind of missed the fact that it's a really cool tool that enables the less creative or I guess the more limited in their sort of thinking of what they can do. It takes away from that potential to be able to expand that opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you think about the fact that opportunities are endless of what you can do with it, like that's quite a phenomenal, exciting prospect.
Yeah.
Right? If you take away the fact that, you know, there's the other side that's like we're going to come and whatever, rule the world and blah, 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 but take all your jobs.
Yeah.
But that side, that creative side, but then humans have adapted, right? Surely people felt this about when computers came in, when newspapers were made, I mean, the whole Industrial Revolution, surely this is not a place, this is a place that humans have been in before, right? This unnerving, because that's a super cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Like that totally changes the way that we're going to bring up our children, that they're going to interact with each other, with the world.
Do you see, and this is probably an early stage of this shift happening, but like the conversations you have, you're brought in on a broader business cultural level.
Yes.
Is there any kind of conversation about what AI is taking away from organizations and how you can fill the gap or fill that capacity with something else? Is there any kind of conversations like that?
Yes. There's two streams. And one stream is we really need our people to be able to utilize AI properly. And in order to do that, they really need to be able to think creatively. Mm-hmm. So we need to gear up creativity. It was really interesting. Many years ago, I worked for a finance company and I worked with a finance team, and he already foresaw what was coming. And he said, basically, the way that computers are going, if I don't skill up my finance team with creativity skills, they're going to lose their jobs. And I was like, wow, that was really, they had a lot of foresight.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The first thing is we need our people to be more creative because we need to keep up. There's this huge thing about keeping up, right? But then that's also the flip side is this keeping up. People are finding that everybody moves quicker, faster, everyone works harder. Some people know how to use AI, some people don't. So the competition is greater.
Yeah.
And that's pushing everyone.
Yeah.
So then there's so the two veins are we need everyone to be creative, also need everybody to stay calm and engaged.
Yeah.
So I think the need will be greater, and I think that's something we will have to watch with ourselves is how do we stay in the race without breaking ourselves? There's the danger.
The quote I love, and I've quoted this book a number of times chatting to you, is Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull, right?
Yeah.
And one of the quotes in there is that ideas come from people, therefore people are more important than ideas. And I think with the excitement around AI and what it can do, that's all excitement about the idea. But I think it'll bounce back to I don't know what the exact term is, but like prompting becomes the thing that's most important. And it's like what human idea or human input can make this thing do something really cool and interesting. And so I think that like we're on a much more direct threat from AI taking our jobs in that it can content create and it can go, here's algorithmically perfect video content to get attention, call to action, all that sort of stuff. There's a formula to it which AI can replicate. But it's the ability as a person who can subjectively look at it and go, this is good, bad, or indifferent. I think that's the thing that's going to stand it apart. If you ignore it, the pace at which other people can make and iterate things is just going to go past you. So I think you need to be able to embrace it. But the level of human input on it is going to be the thing that determines who succeed and who doesn't, I think.
You work with a lot of actors.
Yeah.
What do we think about AI-generated actors?
That's tough. It's really tough.
Is it?
I think so. It's probably less so actors at the moment than just voiceover.
Yep.
Voiceover is the thing that's been really, really struggling. And it's like I think there's a real artistry to a voice artist. I think somebody that can use their voice to convey tone, empathy and the message and either sell something or share a thought or make an audience feel something. I think there's a real beautiful craft to that. It's like music, right? You hear a person playing an instrument, there's just that human creation aspect that's like it's got the, I don't want to say flaws because sometimes it's the most perfect song ever, but it's the human connection to the creation of the thing.
And an artistry, right? Like
an artistry, absolutely. You can do, be very careful here so I don't get cancelled. You can create some very realistic sounding voices with pretty realistic tone and realistic kind of emphasis and what have you, but it lacks something. And it's like, I don't know how AI is going to be able to tap into that human thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we all have watched movies where there are just people who have moved us, or like there's already an essence within humans.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether AI is ever going to be able to replicate that human to human transfer.
Yeah. You know, I was going to put my devil's advocate hat on, my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, the output of stuff comes with a cost. You want to hire an actor, you want to hire a film crew, a photographer, talent to be in your photos and your videos, whatever. All of that comes with a cost. And my fear is that AI is good enough at a lower price point that people stop choosing the real version of it. And what I think I take as very serious responsibility is that, well, we don't want that to just disappear because then you lose that authenticity in what's being created. So it's about educating the benefit and importance to it, even though there's a potentially a cost disparity. Well, what are you actually getting from this thing that's real? So like the case in point is like people go, is AI ever going to replace what we do? And I think in some parts, yes. But like if you're a massive organization and you want your message to be conveyed as like, hey, we've done something and this is really cool, what's going to be better? An AI generated voice or person's going, hey guys, we've got this new initiative that we're launching, or your CEO or your sort of senior person going, hey everybody, we're so excited, we've been working on this thing, and like you get the person that's behind it sharing that thing. I don't think you can replace the people delivering their message because it's the person that's involved in the process that's actually doing the thing. But money is a very big motivator for people to not do that and go, well, if it costs a quarter of the amount to generate this over here.
I see things like springing up, like play activations where humans are getting together to just simply be humans in a room together. Like I feel like there's that will almost become, I think Simon Sinek said it in one of his talks, is that actually now when you hit a certain frequent flyer pointage, you get a human on the phone, whereas if you're not that high, you get AI, right? So we're sort of saying that dealing with humans is now like becoming a premium thing.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept in itself.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever erase the humanness because it feels like that's the top of the pops. I don't know whether AI could ever replicate such gorgeous costumes.
Absolutely
and
not.
incredible soundscape in such an authentic way.
But you think about this, right? Like it's you and I having a conversation.
Correct.
And our beautiful costumes have unique characteristics that are just because we made them in 2 minutes before we started recording this episode.
Don't undersell yourself. We gave ourselves at least 4 or 5.
Sorry, yes, okay. Well, let's call it 10 generously.
Yeah.
But I think that like if you gave this prompt to AI and it tried to have this conversation and debate and create avatars of people that were dressed up to look like robots, it wouldn't be this because this has all of the weird imperfections of what's going on.
Speak for yourself. No, you're right. Imagine us AI. We would be so perfect.
Yeah. And I think that like you can then try and build in imperfections, but it's like, come back to video as a good analogy, right? Film was lauded for years because of the imperfections. It's got the tangibility of it. It's analog. There's grit. There's grain. There's like all of the warmth of a film. And it's the same with photography. Film photography's got that whole thing. Records. Whereas when we went to digital, it was really hard to try and capture that. It just felt digital. It felt kind of too clean and had too much of a sheen. And like you can replicate it. There's film emulations and all these sorts of things that you can put in. But people are trying to capture that same feeling, and you're seeing people bounce back to those analog mediums because it's what felt better. It felt more real and authentic.
I love this. I think what you're saying is that we're going to embrace messy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like totally my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I think we're going to be perfectly suited at the front of the list for messy creation.
Perfect. I'm there.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of gets us to a good little end point on AI.
I'm done.
Can I ask you? Well, okay.
Go on. No, ask
we're
me
done.
something.
No,
Go ask.
We're done. End prompt. No, I was going to ask, how are you using AI at the moment? Are you doing anything with it? Because I think we can talk about the implications of it, but are you using it?
Oh, am I? Yeah, I do. I'm really conscious about a few things. Authenticity is like one of my high values.
Mm-hmm.
So I write my own things. I make sure that it is actually my voice.
Yeah.
Because that's important to me. So I don't use it for any like LinkedIn prompts, or I use my own words.
Yeah.
But I will use it to help along the way. I will use it to support me in my office. I will use it to share. I use it in my business all the time.
Mm.
My partner, Miles, he uses it. He cooks recipes by it. The other day I got bitten by a spider. He was like, took a photo and analysed me on chat. Like he uses it like his best friend. Yeah. But I still ebb and flow. And for me, it's actually just about memory. It's about remembering of, I've got that there. I could use that here.
Yeah.
I'm just very cautious that I don't want it to, at this stage, be my voice because that's one of my values.
Yeah, that's great.
How do you use it?
I mean, I probably do more than you do, but I think what I see it as is it speeds up the processes that I could easily spend too much time on.
Yes.
And like I have a lot of things going on at work. I get a lot of questions and just conversations and context switching going on that if I can through AI support speed up the things that I'm not needed to give my entire input to. So like admin tasks, automations for, moving things in our pipeline, all of that sort of stuff. If I have to sit there and manually input things or do whatever, it's just like I could do that, or I could get that 5 minutes back over the course of, 10, 20, 30 times a week. And what can I do with that 5 minutes each time? Put into something else, spend there having these conversations or, developing the execution of what we're doing more. It's one of those things where, I see it as a tool, not as the end product. And I think if I'm ever sitting there just going, cool, push the buttons and it does all my work and you never hear from me ever again, then I think I've gone too far because much like you, I value the authenticity.
Yeah.
But I'm testing to see, well, how much of my input can I give and what can it spit out back given everything it knows about me?
Yeah.
And if that kind of kickstarts a thought or a conversation or a post or whatever it is, I'm less kind of closed off to that idea. Yeah.
There's a couple of things. One, I am starting to like play around with weaving it in almost. But secondly, I've just written a book with my mum, and we have genuinely made sure that we can say human written, 100% human written.
Yeah.
So I think that will be a thing in the future about having to declare.
Totally.
I've already seen forms and stuff that you have to actually declare this is human written. There's no AI involvement.
Yeah.
So I think that's the next step, is that we'll have to be like, we'll get little stamps like 100% human. Yeah.
Great. Well, Rania, I'm feeling the radio waves cooking my brain.
I'm 5G. It's 5G.
Yeah. Great.
Is it 4 or 5G? I never quite understood. Anyway.
I think we're 6G at this point. Beep, boop, 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 boop.
So how do we end this? 011 10011.
Close conversation.